Beautiful, I am colored in my soul. Shades of every story that made me whole. Wounds turn to wisdom, truth like gold. I rise, I shine, I'm bold. Oh, beautiful I am, colored and free. Every word I share sets someone else free. Together we heal, together we stand. Beautiful I am, color. So here's my voice, unafraid to sing. Hope is born when we let our stories ring. Good evening. Welcome to Beneath the Surface Conversations with me. I am Evelyn, and I am going to get started here in just a little bit, at least this time. Hey, Twan, thank you so much for joining. At least this time, I started on time. So I am trying to get better, although I don't know that I'm going to be able to do all of the fancy stuff because this is the very first time I am going live in the StreamYard stuff. But I just ask that you will provide some grace um, as I navigate through it. Um, Twan, I don't know why Princess, she just got a little special place in my little heartstrings. I don't know why. Every time I hear her little voice. And I just think it's so awesome you're able to spend time with your grands today. I did catch the video. Did I watch it in its entirety? No, I did not, just to be truthful with you. But I did catch that them toys was $80. And I think that lady might have been implying that it was $80 a piece. Child, you are such a loving, wonderful, wonderful. They call you Nina, right? Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I'm excited. Hi, Harjarine. Thank you so much for joining. This is going to be a pretty deep one tonight. I'm going to warn you right now. That's why I'm kind of doing the light talking points at the beginning. But once I get started, I'm just going to kind of forewarn you that it definitely is going to be uh, more of an in-depth, kind of like how I'm naming these sessions. Anytime I go live, I think I'm always going to do like beneath the surface conversations so that we can dig a little bit deeper. Because in real life, that's the kind of friend and the kind of person that I am. I can only do like surface for so long before we really have to talk about, some of the more deeper, meaningful things, including some of the hurtful things, which is one of the things I'm going to touch on tonight. But while I am waiting, I was going to give a 5 minute grace period. I'll tell you kind of how I envisioned this particular live to go. So I have my book, Beautiful I Am Colored, and no, this is not a sales pitch. However, if you do want a copy, my ebook is available. All of that information is in the description box. You do not have to pay for it. You just put $0 in the checkout and download it, and you'll have the text of my book. So how I'm going to start off tonight is honestly, Harjarine, I'm just going to be honest and transparent with you. You might need Kleenex. Um, always going to end on a positive note when I share these deeper, meaningful stories. But part of my ministry is talking about the things that um, a lot of people may not have the words to say. Um, God has equipped me to do that on certain topics. And so I'm just really just trying to be led by what I'm hearing. And then the rest of the way through, I'm just going to let the Lord lead me, the Lord lead me and use me. Um, Before I get started, I already put the disclaimer in the description box, but I'm going to read it. I am not a therapist, a counselor, or mental health professional. nor am I providing clinical advice. I am simply sharing my personal experiences in the hope that they offer encouragement and support. While these stories may feel therapeutic, they are not a substitute for professional therapy. If you are in need of support or guidance, please seek help from a qualified mental health professional. Now that we got all the little legalese stuff out the way, how it's going to go tonight. So I'm going to share a chapter of my book. I'm going to read it. So you don't have to worry if you don't have my book. It's not a big deal. I'm going to read it aloud. It might take maybe 1 to 2 minutes of reading, and it's only for context because it's hard to know like the nuanced pieces of someone's life, if in the videos and clips on YouTube. So I want to provide you some meaningful context of Marlon and I relationship and background that kind of set the foundation for where I'm going to go in the story. After that, I'm going to kind of fast forward to uh, the year that the infidelity took place and talk through some things, the reasons why, just kind of like how the title says, is the reasons why I chose to stay. So, again, thank you for coming on, everyone. My name is Evelyn. I am the, can I say curator at this point? I think I can, maybe. Curator of this live stream, this channel, Beautiful I Am Colored. I'm also the author of this book, Beautiful I Am Colored. And I have a podcast as well if you're interested in that sort of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. This chapter is actually about my husband. His name is Marlon. We have been married now for 29 years. We met in August of 1992. And this story goes into how we met. So I'm going to go ahead and start reading. This chapter is titled, let's see if we can see here. Yeah, Marlon. I didn't have many boyfriends growing up. I had one in fifth grade who got on my nerves so quick, I don't think we lasted a week. I had one in eighth grade for maybe a couple of months. I liked him, but at my cousin's birthday, he hit me on my butt with a brush, and if I didn't break up with him on the spot, it was soon thereafter. I met my husband on my first day of high school when I was 14. We rode the same school bus. At that time, I didn't realize he would be my husband, that we'd have 4 kids, live in 5 states, and have the life that we have now. When I was much younger, the kids at school, particularly the girls, used to play a game called MASH, MASH. The M stands for mansion, A apartment, S shack, and H house. This game was a sort of fortune telling game comprised of several categories, such as the names of people you wanted to marry, the career you would have, the car you would drive, the number of children you would have, etc. Kind of like a fortune telling game, like I was saying. You would pick a number, and by process of elimination, the remaining answer in each category would be your future. Some forms of the game were basic, and some were very detailed. Did y'all play any games like that as girls growing up where you had like the fortune telling games and or you had the little thing that had the four you put it in your fingers like this and you would have to do like this and people pick a number, peel it back and open it and it kind of tells you your fortune. Well, MASH was kind of like that, except for much more detail. Okay, Harjari, you with me? Got you. Okay. So even with fortune telling games such as MASH, I never imagined my life to be what it is today. It has been full of twists, turns, and surprises. And just in case you are wondering, at no point was my now husband's name ever on one of those lists. It was the first week of high school in 1992. I am sure I was up early and had on one of my best outfits, which usually consisted of form-fitting jeans and some sort of blouse. I wasn't too keen on shoes back then, but I think I may have had on a pair of sandals borrowed from one of my aunts on my mom's side of the family, as I often wore hand-me-downs. The school bus came, and I selected a seat to myself. The bus driver made the next stop or two, and there he was. He got on the bus. I felt butterflies instantly. He had a fresh ass fade and braces, which I thought was sort of cute. I mean, at least you getting your mouth fixed, right? Back then, the group Boys to Men was very popular, and he was sort of dressed like the band on the cover of their Cooley High Harmony album, minus the bow tie. He was unique and had what they call today good energy. As fate would have it, a mutual friend was sitting behind me, and he decided to sit with him. I didn't remember speaking to him, but I do remember wishing, hoping, and praying he would talk to me. A few days later, when lockers were issued, fate rose her head again. This particular year, our school was overcrowded. At least the freshman class was overcrowded. There was a shortage of lockers, so I had to go down to the junior locker area. So I'm going to insert this piece. So Marlon is 2 grade levels, or was 2 grade levels ahead of me. So while it was my ninth grade year, it was his 11th grade year. Okay, time's back into the book. And after school, there he was again. We made eye contact. He approached me. He introduced himself and gave me his number, a home number and a pager number. For those of you too young to remember, pagers used to be what smartphones are today. Yes, one, boys to men. I didn't call him for at least a week, not because I didn't want to, but because I wasn't allowed to talk to boys on the phone. I know it may seem very old fashioned to some readers, but when I grew up, there were many girls who were raised in very strict households. One day, he asked why I hadn't called. I simply shrugged my shoulders as if I didn't know, but I had made up my mind that come what may, I would call him as soon as I had a sneaking opportunity. Our very first phone call lasted hours. I had no idea what we talked about, but I knew I loved talking to him. The conversation was so easy, not at all forced. I felt I could trust him. I liked the feeling of safety, even if for now it was just an authentic conversation over the phone. Somewhere down the line, we mutually decided to be exclusive. And from that point on, I was almost always referred to as Marlon's girlfriend, which was complimentary initially, but throughout the years, being referred to as Marlon's girlfriend and later Marlon's wife made me feel as if my individuality was slowly edging away. It became challenging to discover who I was without him. Marlon played football and was one of the best in the state. This meant absolutely nothing to me back then. So, pause here. So, just so you know, I was a choir kid all of high school, like all state, all west. Started off as a soprano too, and but can sing like alto one, alto two, etc., and a little bit of tenor. So the choir kids and drummer kids, band kids, and I think Twan, you might agree with this. They kind of built a little bit different than the athletes at the school, and everybody kind of have their little sex. Y'all know how it is. Okay, time's back in. It has only been in very recent years that I have grown to understand the magnitude of his athletic accomplishments and exceptionalism in the sport. Marlon was so popular that he was Mr. Millington Central High School. That's the high school that we went to back home. I wasn't the popular type, although I knew a lot of people. If you are one of the many people that find a high school sweetheart story romantic, I want to share something with you. All relationships go through challenges. Don't let other people's story, no matter how awe-inspiring or encouraging, make you feel that you don't or won't have a beautiful story of your own. And I'll let you in on a little secret. I've learned through the years, the more you focus energy on being the best you, the greater your attraction to the person that's right for you. Okay, that's the chapter on Marlon. So that gives you a little bit of insight about how we met. Like I've said a couple of times, we've been together for pretty much forever, what people would call today forever. And so we got married when I was 18. And some of you know I had our oldest daughter, Caitlin, when I was in high school. Actually, my junior year, the spring of my junior year, I had Caitlin. And Marlon was already away at school. And Marlon, how Colorado comes up so frequently, Marlon actually was on scholarship at CU Boulder back then. And that was back when, and this is only important for the context and the build of how we got to the whole year of the infidelity and stuff. came to be. So Marlon was recruited by them, full ride scholarship. He was recruited by Coach Mack. And if you know anything about college football, back then, CU was like state champions, um, with Cordell Stewart and some of the other guys. Anyway, enough of that. The bottom line is he was very popular. He had already came out here. I had Caitlin back home, and then the plan was for us to get married my senior year. Marlon actually asked me to marry him when I was pregnant with Caitlin, but my mom refused to sign the papers. And honestly, I was annoyed back then, but it was for good reason. We were very young. But as soon as I turned 18, we booked the date, got married the month of February of my senior year. And by May, we were in my 1989 Toyota Camry driving across this country to Boulder, Colorado to start our lives in family housing on the campus. And when we got to the family housing area, first of all, if you're not familiar with Boulder, Colorado, it's a gorgeous place. Gorgeous, absolutely stunning place. And also, as a young black girl, lady, who was raised in the South, and that's all I knew at that point, it was a very big cultural shock for me. And of course, Marlon was the only pretty much person I had. I had some family at the time that lived here up the road, but we weren't as close as we would become because, I was the teen pregnant person, and the stigma that goes with that. They act like you got the plague or something. They kids can't talk to you and stuff because, of course, pregnancy is contagious. And so going through a lot of that. And so when I went to Boulder, while it was beautiful, I really truly felt really a fish out of water because Marlon was this big person on campus because of his reputation in football and stuff like that. And it took me a really long time to come to myself. Not to mention when the season starts, and again, all of this is background information for folks who don't know, like about how the college stuff works, college recruitment and athletics works. And so when I got there, uh, Marlon was happy for me and Kaylin to be there, but it came kind of apparently clear to me that he didn't really want to have us out visibly seen anywhere in the public. Meaning we wouldn't go to the movies, we wouldn't really go out to dinner, things like that. We were just gonna almost always do things exclusively at home. Now that was kind of clue number one. Okay, y'all picking up the hints there. So um, it's the summer. The summer was fine, no issues. We're just happy and in love and just excited to finally be together. We got our daughter with us. Everything is good. We didn't even have a sidebar. We didn't even have the first 2 weeks that we were married. We didn't even have furniture. We went to like what's it called? American Furniture Warehouse. In the back of American Furniture Warehouse, they had this kind of like clearance section that of furniture that was either returned or it was stained. It was some type of malfunction that went on. And we bought, I think we maxed out one of his credit cards, like maybe $2,500 with some rented dented furniture at this place. But it didn't arrive for 2 weeks. So we slept on the floor of our apartment. Caitlin slept in her car seat or on the pallet. But we were just so happy. You know what I'm saying? It was their young love. You know what I'm saying? And if any of you have ever experienced that when you are in love at such a young age, I mean, that thing is pretty powerful. It blocks out all logic, in my humble opinion. So, anyhow, the summer was fine. And then summer ball, because they have like two, well, back then they had 2 days and stuff, usually in July. And so, Marlon already told me how the schedule was going to go, but it's one thing to hear it and a whole nother thing to experience it, right? So we get to the season, and meaning the football season, and he started acting off and different. And I was just like, how your spidey senses, our intuition, how I be going off and telling you stuff. I was like, something ain't right. Something ain't right. I just know it. And so we went to the store, because you get your little Pell Grant money back then. It's different now for the college athletes that play football, but back then, you know, If you came from a certain socioeconomic status, everything was banked on them loans and that Pell Grant money. Anyways, so he got his little Pell Grant money, and we decided to go to the mall and get these pagers. He bought one for me, one for him, and the way I was sold on it was, um, in case you need to reach me, in case of emergency, I need to reach you, blah 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 blah. So I was like, okay. He had a black one, I had a blue one. Let's go. Okay, well, I didn't really use my pager much because remember I got the baby at home at this time. At this exact time, I wasn't working because we had only been in Boulder. Hey Jen, thank you for joining. I'm just filling. Hey Kim J, thank you for joining. I'm just filling the ladies in on working them up until one, how me and Marlon met. I shared a chapter of my book about him and how we met, and now I'm talking and providing some context up to the day that I got the confirmation that he was cheating. So he bought these pages, and I was like, you know, it's just a change, like, and even the vibe in Boulder when it's football season, especially a winning season, like how they were. Um, it is a certain energy that comes when the students come back. You know what I'm saying? Everything, and so I was feeling still, isolated. So I was like, hmm, something is still off. He had come home one day from practice, and back then, because we lived in family housing, there were still the phones on the wall, and there were still what you call it, the corded phones. Right, we didn't have a cordless phone, um, and the phone rang, and so the phone rang, and I picked it up, and the person hung up. So I was like, okay, but then the phone rang right back, right, and then Marlon picked up. Marlon picks up the phone. He takes the phone into the bathroom. We were living in like a little 2-bedroom townhouse, and that was like built in, I don't know, 1940s or something. But anyway, he took the phone up into the bathroom upstairs and closed the door. And I heard some low talking. So what do y'all think I did? Oh, you probably know. You probably know what I did. So I picked up, back then you could pick up the receiver. Like if you picked up the phone off just ever so slightly and kept your phone on the button for the receiver to go down and slowly lift it up, you couldn't tell if somebody had picked up the phone, aka eavesdropper. So I pick up the phone, and he must have known that I was doing something because then the call ended. So I was thinking to myself, I know this can't be happening. So when he came out the bathroom, I said, "Who was you talking to?" And he was like, "Oh, that was just, one of my brothers, one of the team." He made up something. It was a lie. Whatever he said was a lie. I can't remember exactly who he said he was talking to, but it was a lie. And so I got up in my head that I'm going to solve this mystery because this stuff is not feeling right. This is way off. So also back in the day, because we were on campus, I had called. This is going to give y'all so much insight into how my brain works. I'm kind of low key shame, but I'm going to share it anyhow. So I called the Boulder police. That's the campus police, not the real police, but the campus police, and told them somebody had been calling our house and hanging up the phone. And is there a way that I could get some sort of like caller ID type of thing? So the police department says, well, we don't really have that, but we have this phone. And this phone was like this big. I kid you not. But it was like an office phone from back in the day that would show the number. So you know what your investigator did? I went and picked up that phone. I brought it right home and plugged it in because I was going to get down to who was calling. And sure enough, trap laid, trap set. I called him. Now, I'm just going to say for my own character right now, I'm about to share a couple things with you that I'm not really proud of my 18-year-old self, but it's going to make sense. I promise. So stay with me. So I get this phone, and the number is still calling and hanging up when I answer the phone, but now the number is showing. Now, by this time, I had secured a position on campus, like a little, I think it was manpower temp services I went through at the time and secured a job on campus in the engineering department. And because they used to record the professors' videos on VHS back in the day, and I was the person that organized stuff. Anyways, um, I got the number and I said, I'm not gonna call this number back from the phone in our townhouse. I'm gonna call the number when I get to work on the work phone. Lord have mercy. I can't believe I'm sharing this. So I called the number and sure enough she picks up the phone. Hello? And I go straight into Memphis Evelyn because remember I hadn't even been in Boulder a whole year, so I'm fresh off Memphis. I go straight into Memphis Evelyn mode, which I'm sad to say I was not my best self that day. I did not have any tools, nothing. So she got a full Memphis style cussing out. And I told her I better not ever see you on these streets no more. Now, this particular fall was the fall that the movie Set It Off had come out. Now, here's what I could tell you about most Memphians. If they tell you something, they ain't gonna really repeat like that, but if they tell you something, they usually are gonna deliver on what they say. So I had already told her, if I see you out somewhere, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna fast forward and just tell you what that ended up with was me writing a statement about how I laid my hands on somebody. And again, not my proudest moment. There were several witnesses. I thank God to this very day that there were no cell phone cameras because, oh my God, I was, as they used to say, tearing the club up this particular night after I saw Set It Off. Anyhow, I came back to the house. So okay, so Marlon, at this point, I had already busted him out about him cheating on me. He came home one night late, and I was like, you know what I'm saying, you better tell me right now the truth or I'm out. Now, I had already called home to my mama and was like, you need to get me and Caitlin up out of here. I'm not going to be doing this because I had already lived through a few things, and this is also important for context. I had grown up being molested several different times by church folk, by trusted family friends, and things like that. So I already had trust issues before. And if you recall, when I was sharing the story about Marlon in my book, one of the most attractive things about him was that I felt safe and I felt trust with him when we first met. And so you can imagine, I think what they call it crashing out? Y'all tell me in the chat. Do the young people call it crashing out when you act like how I just talked about how I acted when I saw the girl? And so I was just going down the lane because here I was. I finished high school on time, and I even do know as a teen mom, I went to high school all the way. I was pregnant with Kaylin all the way up until the day before she was due in high school in the 11th grade. So I'm carrying that. I'm carrying um, the stuff that happened, as a younger child, all having to do with trust and safety. And so um, Marlon that night, when I told him, you know what I'm saying, he need to come clean, he went ahead and admitted it. And then it was kind of like after he admitted it, oh my God, it was so hard, y'all. It was so hard. And there are some other nuanced pieces to this that I do write about in my book that I might share in the future. But let me just say, we made an agreement that I would forgive him. I would say we're ready to like move on. But let me say this, it was not easy for me at all. When I tell you, like I said the words, like I forgive you, but I harbored resentment and bitterness in my heart. And honestly, I'm sure you all will agree, rightfully so, for many years. When I say many years, I'm talking like minimum of 10 after that year. And honestly, it's probably close to 15. And I just told y'all we're working on 30. So we're talking about almost half of our marriage. I was just carrying it, carrying this burden in my heart because of the betrayal. And one of the things that happened that took place in all of those years, initially when it first started, Marlon was like, when you gonna get over it? Because the way I was acting, like every time the phone would ring and he would go in another room and talk, even if it was family, or every time he would, leave. And then, we didn't have cell phones, so it wasn't like, there was communication, throughout the time you're separated from one another. And so my mind would just go crazy about imagining him constantly cheating on me. And it was a very critical point in our marriage where we both, one, I was already born again, saved, filled with the Holy Spirit, like the whole nine. Some of y'all know I grew up in church, um, and was very active. Marlon didn't have that lifestyle. But this particular year, I don't know if it was the fall or if it was the spring, this is when he really kind of like rededicated his life. And it was at that point where I started to see some of the actions that I would expect to build up to rebuild trust. Hey, L. Lewis, thank you for joining us. And so I would say this. Um, the years upon years. Oh, girl, you please, no apologies are necessary. You can always go back to the beginning whenever you get time. I don't be stressing over stuff like that. And so I um I really struggle, like my self-esteem and stuff struggle. And as it correlates, because this clearly is not a GLP-1 conversation, but one of the revelations that I made about like why I would always get to a certain point in my weight loss, but I would never release the rest of the weight that would get me to like my ultimate goal, and this has pretty much been true for my whole life, is because of the safety and security, some kind of way from the molestations as a little girl. Um, and this is, you know what, I wasn't going to share this part, but I am going to share it because I think it's very important for this conversation for context. So, um, regretfully, I was molested by several different people growing up. But one of those persons, my mom married. And of course, now the person that violated me is now living in the house with us, quite literally. And so I didn't feel safe. Like even to date, I have a hard time going back to my childhood home and sitting in the house because it just doesn't represent safety for me. So you have that compounded with the infidelity on Marlon's behalf. And this the person I got a child with. This the person that, I mean, when I tell you I would have laid down the law for this man, all of this is compounded and putting so much pressure on my heart and on my soul and on my spirit that it correlated to getting to a certain place in my life where I feel like from a weight loss healthy standpoint, this is probably the only time I'm talking about weight loss in this particular life, but it became so difficult. And it really truly wasn't until this journey that I'm on right now that I share with all of you that the revelation became clear to me that I always get to a certain point because I don't want to become too attractive to anybody externally because I don't want to have that level of, how can I say this? That level of attentiveness, that level of attention, because, thank you, yes, Harjarine, that level of attention, because for me, it signifies being unsafe. Because the times that I would allow myself as a child, I ended up being violated. And so, and honestly, that's not a therapy thing. That truly was like a God revelation to Evelyn about it. And I think I did touch on it briefly before in a past video or live, but when I decided to let that go, then it seems like my weight started to come off, more mixed with what I'm doing. But time back into this infidelity. So it took me like so long to get over it. And I remember us like having different touch points and conversations about it along the years. And he did it a couple of points, ask me, like, well, what is it going to take? You know what I'm saying? Like, when are you, kind of going to get over this? And the truth is, I didn't know, but the hurt was just so deep. It was so deep that it, for me, it just took that long. Not that I didn't want to forgive, but sometimes when we talk about forgiveness, you really have to walk it out. It's not an instantaneous thing. And so while I've learned as an adult, of course, that forgiveness is for me, as a young 18-year-old married woman, not having those tools, I really didn't know how to forgive, in a way that would, I should say, benefit my best complete self for my own well being. Hey, low carb queen, thank you so much for joining us. And so I will say this, and I'm gonna open up the chat. Well, not the chat's already open, but I'm gonna have a question for y'all in a second, so get ready. But and for those of you who want to share, hey, Shawnee, thank you so much for joining. And so the hurt was just so incredibly deep that it took me a lot longer. One of the things, because I told Marlon before I went live tonight that this was a topic that I was going to touch on. And because I don't ever want him to find out stuff on my videos and in my lives and stuff like that that I haven't already talked to him about, just out of courtesy. Anyhow, I was telling him that one of the things that I actually was grateful for is after the couple times he did, kind of like, probe and ask me how long is it going to take me to get over it and stuff like that. His grace with me over the past 10 to 15 years that it took me to kind of get over it, um, really I count as a blessing and I count truly as nothing but God. And I'm also going to get to the reasons why I stayed. Because right now I'm still just filling y'all in on the story. So I told him, I was like, thank you so much. He was like, well, it really was both of us, operating with grace, you to me and then I to you. And so then the question, because I know in these days, some ladies, younger people, my daughter being one of them, have the mindset, well, it ain't gonna be me. In fact, my daughter, my oldest, she got a divorce because a similar situation happened, and she flat out told me, Mama, I'm not you. I'm not doing this. And while I respect everybody's decision because we're all wired differently, I will say that I am so glad that we stuck it out. Now, our situation is unique in that we were kids and literally had to grow up together, right? Don't take away none of the hurt, pain that was caused by the infidelity. But because of that, one of the reasons to stay together was because one, we really truly loved each other. And then also, I had to learn, I didn't understand back then, but I had to learn that when a man cheats, it's not always like those super deep emotional ties. It can be, but in this particular case, it was more young, buck wild, physical, stuff, even though I had to take, what I'm saying, the brunt of the hurt and harm in the situation. And so I'm going to pause there and just say, hey, everybody, thank you so much for joining. This is a much heavier, weightier topic than what I typically cover, but I'm calling these lives that I do beneath the surface conversations because I believe this is what the types of things that God has created me to share and have conversations about and to normalize with people. Um, I can't tell you how many times like I've watched certain videos, of so-called marital gurus and stuff like that, and you've been married 5 hot seconds and got, advice and stuff from people, but you ain't even really been through nothing. No part, no, that's just my opinion. It's not a fact. And so one of the spaces that I believe God has gifted me in is talking about this, especially for women who have been violated at a young age. So that's why I'm talking about this topic tonight. Anyhow, the question for you is, have y'all, and you don't have to answer this if you do not want to, because I understand this topic is weighty and you never know who will come back and watch the videos and run through the chat. So I respect that. So, but the question is to you all, have you ever been in love like that where the love in your heart is so big and then your heart was broken? Whether it was like a first love or a first husband or boyfriend or whatever, or girlfriend, even if you're a guy in the bushes watching. That's my question to y'all. Okay. Yep. Aren't you saying yep? Mm-hmm. Exactly. Shawnee saying yes. If I knew how to pull y'all's chats over to the big screen, I would, but I don't know how to do that yet. I'm still learning. Mm-hmm. L. Lewis, yes. So my point, okay, 901. Thank you, Memphis is in the house. Thank you for being here. And so it was so hard, and I would just say like throughout the years what helped me to kind of stay married, if you will, was a couple of things. As far as why, I've already told you we were actually truly in love, truly. um and then the next one is we already had so much history. With me being 14 and him 16 when I met, he's the, let me just, is this what I'm about to say? Is this actual fact? I think it is. He is on the face of the planet. He knows more about me than anybody else, any family member, any best friend, any whatever. He knows more about me. So it was kind of like, it was a risk to stay because you never know, right? If somebody cheats on you, but y'all say you go try to work it out, that's a great risk because you know the person who got cheated on, you know what I'm saying? You like, first of all, you feel like a fool, right? Because people playing in your face, as the young people would say, because that's what that was on campus. You playing in my face. I'm literally right here on the campus taking care of our daughter, and you around here acting like you a true player. So I felt like a fool, um, first of all. And I don't like to be made out to be a fool. You know what I'm saying? And nobody does. And so it was getting over the embarrassment, but it was also like not really wanting to start over at that level with somebody else. So I had to imagine in my head, okay, well, if I leave Marlon, you know, because of this infidelity, I got to rebuild with somebody else. And then not only that, I have a daughter to think about too. What does that look like? And for me, I'm not, this is not against anybody else because we all have our different stories. But for me, it was like, I don't really want to start over like that. I just don't. Like, I'm a very loyal person, like by nature. Um, I'm an Aquarius. Anyways, I'm very loyal by nature. And so it's kind of like, let me see if this works, even though it's a risk. In our case, I think had it not been for God on our side, there's no way we would have made it because that was one of the huge determining factors in like Marlon's shift and approach to coming into manhood from my vantage point. Um, and I think the other reason too is because I grew up in a single family home. My father was killed when I was 4. So I didn't get a chance to have a father. And then I told you who my mom married, one of them who she married. So I didn't feel safe with that. I really have never had, to be honest with you, like a father figure. And in some ways, I will say this for anybody who comes to the replay and it might be younger and you're still kind of, you know, dating and things like that, I will say this. As a very young person, I do think that I put Marlon on a pedestal that was way up here, almost godlike. And I do think for us to be successful, that I think it was a God work. God had to remove um, and kick that pedestal from up under him. And my focus had to truly just be between like me and God. You know what I'm saying? Like it's me and I'm trusting in God and God is doing this. And I think I had lost my way from that, 14-year-old self to being the teen mom to now I have transitioned into young motherhood. Um, but going back to the reason why I stayed as it pertains to the kids, I had grew up in a single family home and I did not want my children to experience that. So I was like, okay, this is gonna be a gamble. It is because he could very easily play in my face again, and then then I'm out because that was our deal. If it ever happens again, I don't care if it's now. I don't care if it's 50 years from now. I'm out, and I still mean that to this very day. And so it was like, no, I think this will work out. And for us, it did end up working out. But it is not without the grace of God. It is not without a lot of prayer. Of course, it goes. I should say it goes without saying, but I do have to say it. It's not without a lot of work. You know what I'm saying? As you transition and you go to these different levels when you marry, and you really in love and you respect somebody, you know, of course, you got to learn how to communicate. Of course, you got to learn how to say the hard things. Now, I will say this because I don't like telling one-sided stories. So I do need to tell them myself because this story is very kind of more negatively framed from Marlon, I would say, even though it's the truth. Yes, Kim, I see. I do recognize I crashed out, as the kids say. 1 second, y'all, I'm reading the chat. And definitely takes God to help you through this kind. Yes, all things are possible with God. It's the love of God that carries you through. and on the better side of this, working through it together. Yes, thank you so much for that, Kim, and you're absolutely right. And so anyhow, Kim J, I'm referring to because I know Low Carb Queen is Kim too. Um, but yeah, so it's just working through that, and then I think too, like it's not like you're not attracted to somebody. And I'm gonna get back to telling on myself. I know y'all thought I lost my place, but I'm gonna get back to telling on myself. Um, but yeah, I there is just no way I think I would have been able to make it through some of the things that we've been through as a young family without God. There's just no way. Um, it is. It does. It does. But for me, Low Carb Queen says, I think infidelity hits different for different people, and I do agree with you. I think for me, the reason why it hit so differently is because of the compounded abuse as a child, of and I don't know if you were in when I was said this, so I'll repeat for those of you who came in after the fact, but being molested by several people, one of which person my mom married, and not feeling safe, and so whenever the infidelity occurred, it was more of the compounded issues of safety and trust that were really truly like kind of plaguing me and kind of pulling me into a low place. And so telling on myself. So I want to know what y'all think. Do y'all think that I even remotely close came to a revenge moment? And I even with that question, I just gave a leading question, but do y'all think that sweet little Evelyn over here had a revenge moment in her bones? Y'all crack me up. Harjarine, I love you. I love you so much, Harjarine. But I have to tell you, all of us have a side. So let me tell on myself. So this infidelity happened way back in Boulder, right? And this side of the story, I don't tell very much, and I'm gonna stop doing it. And I say that because I do believe in balance, and of course Marlon knows the truth. So let's just put it out there and be transparent with you folks and friends. So we had gotten over that. He done graduated, you know. He done trying out for teams and stuff like that. And I was back home in Memphis with, by this time we had two two kids. So we had Caitlin and we had Avery. Avery is the one that was doing the plank challenges with me, and Caitlin was the one who bombed my little photo shoot video. Anyhow, so we had two of the kids, and I think I might have been pregnant with Morgan. That's the baby girl who don't come on camera very much at all. Anyhow, because we was knocking them out with the pregnancies back in the day. And so Marlon was away trying out for the team. And, I always been in church. And we had this conversation, okay, on Low Carb Queen channel about the church boys, right? And why I wasn't attracted to the church boys. Remember we had that come for those of you who were on that live stream. Y'all know I was like, I really wasn't feeling the church boys like that because I be wanting people, a little bit of an edge on them, right? And my husband definitely had an edge on them back in the day. And so anyhow, some kind of way, I actually don't remember these details, and I'm not lying to y'all. One of the church boys, because now remember, I'm back in Memphis, right? This is where I'm born and raised. I'm back at my home church, and some kind of way, I ended up going out to, I think it was Applebee's, and I had a drink or two or something like that with this guy. And after that, we went to the park, and it we went to the park, and I will say this. I didn't get full-fledged revenge in terms of having sex with somebody else. Yeah, no, that didn't happen. And hopefully my life don't get flagged for saying that word. But there was a kiss, even though it wasn't a good one for me. And I felt real nasty. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. I think the conviction in me, um, I'm just, man, integrity just means so much to me. So the fact that I was playing that out, oh my God. And I get back home. I get back home. I'm gonna get to y'all's comments in just a second. I get back home because remember I told you Marlon was away trying out for these teams and stuff. I get back home and why has he been calling the house? Because I'm at my mama's house. Why has he been calling the house looking for me? And soon as he heard my voice, he was like, "What you done did?" True story, I kid you not. He was like, "What you done did? Where you been?" Because you after you had the kids, then you drop that little bit of weight. You know what I'm saying? You be looking cute and stuff. And plus, Memphis, you definitely gonna get some attention. And so, 901, I don't know if you still up in here, but I think you know what I'm talking about. If you put together in Memphis, you definitely gonna get some attention. And so, I just didn't, I couldn't even hold water, y'all. I just had to admit it, to him right on the spot. And I had to really say and talk through. And by this time, I'm in my early 20s, and I had to talk through like the reasons why. And the reasons why was like, you know what I'm saying? Let me see, what it make you feel a little bit of hurt, a little bit, because it still ain't probably the hurt that I feel, but let me just make you feel a little bit. But the truth is, I felt worse after I did it. So then that was a whole conversation. And then that's when we as a couple decided to implement some at first. Thank you 901 for co-signing. I appreciate you. But that is when we both agreed to have some boundaries within our relationship to just kind of protect it. And those boundaries are really truly, I would say for the most part, are between me and Marlon. If it ever comes up, I might share it on here. But the one of the ways in which that we honor each other is um, we communicate a lot. And I'm married to a talker. Contrary to popular belief, well, it is a fact. Most men aren't talkers, but I actually am married to the type of man who actually he needs to talk to get things out, and he's always been like that. And so communication is huge with us, usually, in the form of, more deep conversations and stuff. And so that's helped us along the way too. In recent years, we've purchased, or I've purchased, conversation cards for when things really get rough, and not infidelity rough, but I'm just talking about real life, regular rough, where we kind of like walking around the house mad, mean mugging each other and stuff like this, a couple days where the communication gets stopped. I have these communication cards for long-term marriages that I have bought off of Amazon that occasionally, I don't have to use them very often, but about probably once a quarter, I have to pull those cards out to get the conversation going and get the communication going between the two of us. Um, and I guess I'm here to say that while we did have the infidelity and stuff early on in our marriage, I will say that now that we have rebuilt the foundation of trust, that of course our marriage now is stronger than ever, but it just took a long time to get to that point. And so my encouraging point that I'm gonna leave in this segment of my life right now is that if you have faced some of the, more harder things in life, whether that's molestation, and you're still trying to process through that as a grown woman in your 40s, 50s, 60s, or whatever the arbitrary number is of your age, things can get better. It's just usually us that is the block of the it's usually us that is the block of the deliverance that needs to take place in order for healing to truly show up and for you truly to be the person that I believe God has called us to be. And sometimes it's peeling back those ugly layers that we don't really want to talk about and we don't really want to see. But after we do build those up to talk about and dig it up and deal with it at the root, we become better and we become better equipped to do truly what God has intended us to do in this earth realm. I firmly believe that. And so I just wanted to be transparent and share that because while this I think is going to be a much longer conversation, I wanted you to not just see the powerlifting Evelyn or the fun stuff, you know, um, but truly like this is life, right? And honestly, that's why it's beautiful I am colored because it's all of these things. It's not just one compartmentalized piece, right? It's all of these things that actually make us beautiful. Had I not gone through certain things, had you not gone through certain things, you wouldn't be the person that you are today or the person that you're becoming. So if you are in a hard place right now, I'm just saying there is light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm so happy to be part of this community. So let's go to the chat. Let's see what we got popping. Okay. Kim J says, yes. Some say they won't take that from their spouse, significant others, and will leave, but then stay right there. Others will leave and still may find someone else who does the same. True. Jen says that's JC Calamity Jane. We have a few of those conversation card decks. They are fun. They actually are. They really are. They're fun, and some of the questions, some of the prompts are hard. Kim J says, then other leave and find someone else and don't have the issue anymore. You never know what you'll do until you are in it. Big, agreed, L. Lewis. Big facts. And all of us are different. And this is not me co-signing my way. It's just me sharing with you one of the things that I've been through, or a few of the things that I've been through, and how now I'm on the other side of that thing. Thank God. Okay, Kim J says, laughing out loud at Shawnee, but it can be with the reform. But it can be. I'm so sorry. But it can be with the reform thug or so-called nerd or in between. I'm not sure if that matters, honey. Listen, we all different. You know what I'm saying? We know who we married, who we linked up with. We know what we like. You know, we know what we like in all the ways. And so, let me ask y'all this. I know most of y'all on the call, but 901 again. Thank you for being here. Let me ask you this: are you married? 901. Who truth? And if you are married, how long have you been married? And you can put in the chat. But yeah, but marriage life is absolutely work, and we talked about this on Low Carb Queen Channel. It's work, but I don't mind doing it so long as the caveat for me is it has to be both people putting in the work. Now, what I will not do is I will not be just trying to work and strive. Okay, you're not married. Okay, no worries. You don't have to be married. I just was curious. Um, but it has to be both people working together. You know what I'm saying? It can't just be me. That's not right. That's not right. For it to be one person. And I think the other piece too, like when I think about like marriage in terms of being happily married, I didn't, even though like my grandparents and stuff were married, I can honestly say from my vantage point growing up, they didn't seem like they was happy. Like I never saw them laughing hard together, what I'm like together, like as a couple, the romantic kind of flirty giggling. I never saw that. Um, and and for me, I don't want and I don't desire a marriage to become fruitless from the standpoint of we just together for a long time because we used to each other, but we're not really doing anything to foster the romantic side of the relationship. We're not really doing anything to, what I'm saying, make this thing continue to evolve and grow. That's a deal breaker for me personally. Let's see. Hey Jen, 10 years is wonderful. And are y'all going anywhere? Okay, so that pretty much is the nuts and bolts of what I wanted to share on this topic for tonight. But I do need y'all's little bit of help with something because y'all know we've been to work up on 30 years of marriage, and we got a little place we're gonna go down to for our anniversary. But what have y'all done like in like past years to celebrate different anniversaries, especially like listen when it's a major milestone? Because you know how us girls are, like in my imagination at our 30th anniversary, we were going to do some big grand vow renewal. By the way, we did not have a wedding at all. When we got married at 18 and 19, he came home and we went to this place called Candlelight Weddings that's housed in one of the county buildings in Memphis. Um, so it's not like a courtroom, but it's like a room that they turned into like a chapel area within the county building, and that's where we got married. Um, and I've always wanted a wedding though. I always wanted a wedding. So for the 30th, I thought that we might do something like, you know, something kind of more spectacular. And then I don't know, the closer it got to the 30, to the closer it's getting to February, of course, a ceremony and stuff is not going to happen at this point, just because travel arrangements and all that. But maybe in the future, something like that might happen. So let me see what kind of ideas y'all got. Okay. Shawnee, you want a square? I would like for you to say more if you feel comfortable. Okay, Kim J says, thank God for ordering your steps to get to the other side. You all worked through this rough patch in your marriage and came out on the better side. To God be the glory. Yes, amen to that, sis. Jen says, we wanted to do Costa Rica, but everything with the government this year and my work, we're watching our coins. So, Jen, I'm glad you brought that up because that actually was another point. Um, at first, we were like, okay, do we want to go to, because Vancouver, I've been Vancouver, British Columbia. I talked to Marlon about, um, going there. And because, we were so young, we didn't have money like that. So we didn't do like vacations like how some families do. We usually always had to be real creative right at the house. So we haven't had the chance yet to experience, traveling out of the country together. And that's one of the things I was hoping for. But then, they had that whole mess where, with, what, I can't talk about anything political, but just let's say this: the decisions that have been made have impacted all of us financially. And when I checked the tickets to Vancouver and they were like $1,200 a piece, for coach, no, I ain't doing it. I'm not doing it. I don't feel like that's wisdom. So I feel you on that, Jen. And that's why we dialed our stuff way back. We're still going away for several days to a beautiful place, but it's not going to be as, pricey as what I thought it was going to be initially. 901 Hoop Truths. You should have like a wedding, renew your vows type thing. I do want to do that one day. And truthfully, Marlon wants to do that one day too. Um, I don't know when. At this point, I would be happy if it was just our family. I would be okay with it. Like not having, parents and brothers and sisters and stuff where you got to worry about folk. I would just be happy with just the two of us on a beach somewhere and just having a long, long extended vacation, and taking some really nice pictures and stuff at this point. So thank you for that. Okay. Y'all went to the courthouse too, Harji? So we will be doing a vow renewal for our 25th. You are Harjarine. Where are you doing your vow renewal at? And is it a big shindig where you're inviting all the extended family and everything like that? Girl, I want to know more. If you don't want to put it in here, that's fine. Email me because I'm just curious about how you're going to do this. My birthday, the 29th, just a few days after that. Okay, Kim J says, it's your story, your truth, and happy you feel comfortable with us enough to share. Feel we are safe for you to share. Oh, look, girl, look, I already wrote it in the whole book. I got a chapter on the infidelity in the book, so I it's a pleasure. And who said this on a live? It was one of the church lives. I be calling some of y'all church lives because we talk about the Bible and stuff. Uh, and I always talk about God, but on somebody's live about a week or two ago, whose live was this? Um, but I think the scripture in Revelation that talks about we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. It truly is that testimony piece that's free. And so, how like when you first go through something really hard, I'm gonna get to the comments in a second. When you go through something really hard at first, when you start to talk about the story, you're still tearful, you still cry, your heart still has that, like somebody's doing your heart like this when you tell it. But the more you tell the story, the more your heart becomes less restricted and it can actually fully expand. I'm at the full expansion place. Thank God that I can talk about this stuff and it don't impact me like how it did even 5 years ago, let alone 10. So I'm truly thankful for sharing stories and I hope that it brings, you all hope. Okay, let's say. Let me go. What advice y'all giving me for this anniversary? For your trip, happy to feel comfortable. Um, a nice trip somewhere you both have been waiting to go. Yes, Shawnee, that's yeah. We do have like one coming up, but it's a drivable one. So I do think another bigger trip is we need to do like next year, maybe like in the summertime, I'm thinking. So I agree with that. Kim J says, have you all been to Hawaii? Okay. Marlon has been to Hawaii back when he was in college. Yes, they had a bowl game one year in Hawaii. And guess what? The wives of the players could go, but Marlon decided that me and Caitlin needed to stay back in Boulder, and he went. True story. Because he was low key shamed, like to be so young and have a family. But that's his story to tell, so I'm gonna stop there. Okay. Let's see. Happy on Kim J. Congrats, Harjurine. Wait, what we congratulating? Oh, on her 25th, on her anniversary. I'm sorry, coming up on the 25th of January. Okay, so she says I was going to do a big thing, but I changed my mind. It's going to be our kids. Go see. Okay, Harjurine. While we on the topic of your business right now, um, can I ask you if you can share, um, what made you dial it back? What made you? Because see, me and Marlon had these conversations, and we got into like the guest list and stuff like that, and we was like, maybe we need to dial it all the way back. I'm wondering if that was the same conversation with you and your spouse. Can I do this? Okay, I agree with you 100% on that. Okay. Hey, Felicia. How you doing, honey? It's good to see you. Okay, low carb. Yours is traveling too. Okay, okay. Well, we're gonna get started with a little small thing first in February, and then I'm gonna see because Marlon turns 50 next year too, so that's another thing. Oh my God, this man of mine. I've been asking him for months. Babe, it's your 50th. I want to make it special for you. Can you provide me with a list of who you all want and what kind of vision you have for your big day? When I tell you months, did I already tell y'all this? I feel like I told y'all this already. So forgive me if it's a repeat. Hey, LaFay. So good to see you, girl. You up late. Wait, you working right now? Oh, Felicia, honey, no sorries at all. I told somebody, L. Lewis, I told her the same thing. I don't be tripping. I really don't. Um, but yeah, he he's not a planner like me, and I am still learning even at 30 years together how to respect that more. But you know how it is when you're kind of like, well, certain things you can't wait till the day of or the day before. You got to have certain things booked in advance. For example, let's say you wanted to have a cigar lounge area booked for you and the guys to go, and have the men drinks and the cigars and stuff like that. Well, some of the nicer ones, you need to know that kind of stuff in advance. Or, if you want to, I don't know, come up here in the mountains and have a cabin or something. You know what I'm saying? People still got to book their flights to come out here. Most of the friends and family. Bottom line is this: I don't know what's gonna happen on his 50th yet. He is still kind of working through what his vision is for it, but it's frustrating when you want to help and the help is not being accepted in the way that you want. And you know what? Now that I just said that out loud, thank you, Felicia, for being on here. Let them, right? Let them, let them. It's okay. Why should I be stressed? It's not my 50th birthday. I already know what I'm doing for my 50th birthday. So it's okay. Um, wait, what you got for me, Elwood? You can do a destination at home experience, bring a whole bunch of food. Oh, Ella Lewis, you are very creative. That sounds so okay. Mm-hmm. Have L. Lewis, have you ever done that? This idea? So sorry, I didn't read. I apologize. So L. Lewis says you can do a destination at home experience, bring a whole country to you with decor, food, music, and dress code. I like that idea. Preferably, my house will be cleared out by the time that comes because y'all know we still have. Well, Caitlin is moving here in another week, actually. So I can get my office back. Glory. But then we still gonna have two at the house still. And that's been another thing for all of y'all who have adult children. Whew, I don't mind. Like I know this generation is different. I respect it. I do. And I'm just really just to have my husband to myself because we've never had that. Imagine never being single, really, not really, really, never being single and never having a place to yourself for your whole life. That essentially has been me and Marlon. And I would really like that, while I'm, pretty fiery and spicy and still can do tricks, I would really like for us to have our house to ourselves. So prayerfully, my young people get on their feet and they can be gone by next summer, hopefully. Felicia, I love it. She says, let them, honey, let them with the nail polish drying for 20. Wow, L. Lewis, for real? That's amazing. That is amazing. And I honestly might just try that and not even just like wait to like the anniversary to do it or to next year to do it. Felicia says, I just realized you're doing your live from the hotel. Oh yes, uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. I got some footage for y'all that I'll post. It'll be up tomorrow. So y'all can see a little bit of Colorado. It is absolutely gorgeous up here though, I have to tell you. It's gorgeous. If you have never been, that's my shameless plug for this state. If you have never been to the mountains in Colorado, I don't care if you come in the winter, I don't care if you come in the summer. And I had, so this is gonna be a repeat in the video that I'm gonna post for tomorrow. But I will say this: if you're looking for something nice to do next summer, there's what's called the Winter Park Jazz Festival that happens every summer, July 20 something, and it's usually like R&B artists or jazz that they come and they play in the mountains in Winter Park, Colorado. Let me tell you something. You talking about having a good time, baby. My one of my real good friends, her name's Dominica. She's actually a clinician down there in Arizona, in Phoenix. She Marlon wasn't acting right one year, and I really wanted to go. And so I called her up and was like, "Girl, do you want to come to this jazz festival?" And she's like, "Girl, yeah, I'm coming." So I got us a real nice Airbnb. When I tell you, we had our little Airbnb, we had our little drinks and stuff, honey. We was listening to who came that year? It was giving you the best of me, amazing. He is such a good time. And the Hamiltons, Anthony Hamilton and the Hamiltons came. I think that year also it was Layla Hathaway who came too. I think she was on the second day. But anyway, Colorado is gorgeous. So if you're looking for something next summer to do, and you also like the outdoors, and you also like live music, and just kind of something that's low key, but you're still gonna have a phenomenal time, I highly recommend it. I'm definitely planning to go next year. Prayerfully, my husband will join me. We will see. Shawnee says, I hear it's beautiful. I just don't want that rocket flight. Oh yeah, that does happen. When you fly into, I don't know what it's called because I know there's a scientific term, but that's not my wheelhouse. But it definitely is rocky when you come into certain atmospheres. For sure, the plane gets real bumpy. Um, but if you ever do come, I hope you let me know so that I can see your beautiful face when you're here. I actually don't have much else, guys, for tonight. I don't want to hold you. I know it's late on the East Coast. And so, wait a minute. How did I miss these comments? One second. Kim J said, me child. She talks so much about leaving after turning 18. Baby, Kim J, the question is why? If what we got going on in this house and our rules and stuff, you feeling all why you you free? You free to go. You want to be grown, right? You want to be grown. Come on out here and get a taste of this grown and pay your own bills and your utilities and insurance and all that. You don't understand how good you got it, child. Uh, let's see here. Let me scroll up one second. Oh, got you. Okay. Well, low carb queen, that makes sense. That makes sense. I understand that. Hard to read. I know you got a whole house full over there, so I totally get it. But what do y'all, okay, since I'm still on this live, now I have another question. And this is an after dark conversation, not for kids. I am curious though, because I don't feel like I know y'all might have some words for me and I'm a big girl, I can take them. But I don't feel like I can be like my most freest self when the kids are there. Because we live in like a 1950s bungalow. And while it's been remodeled, it still has like what 1950s type homes, have. It's like all the creaking floors. So if the floor creak, you already know what the bed gonna do. You know what I'm saying? And so I be telling Marlon, I'm tired. I'm tired of. I shouldn't be doing that at 47 years old. But then I also feel like it's an encroachment if I just go ham. You know what I'm saying? And just be making all of the wildebeest noises in all of the land. You know what I'm saying? I don't want that audio to be in my kids' heads, even as adults. I don't know. What y'all think about that? Um. Oh, you went to Aurora? Yeah. I'm not far from Aurora. Denver butts right up to it, but Aurora is actually geographically is much bigger than the Denver area. Denver is actually a really small piece, but it's very densely populated as compared to some of the other municipalities. Jen says Colorado is beautiful. Shawnee, I just okay, we got that one. My husband used to work in. Wait, for real, Felicia? Sorry, hold on. Let me go back up. Hold on, hold on. I already knew y'all was finna start acting. I already knew with that question I asked. Y'all was finna start acting up. Biggest things to make sure you double your water intake. 1,000%, Jen, or you gonna have an oxygen mask on. I have been to concerts, live concerts, where people have had the full like. Who did I see? Me and Marlon went to a concert, a jazz concert, and I can't remember the artist that was here, but their drummer, he had the full oxygen tank on the stage. It is no joke. Altitude sickness is very real. If you don't believe me, Google it. My husband used to work at Trinity. He says it's beautiful in the wilderness. He did say not a lot of people of color and it made him feel, oh, really? Well, certainly in Trinidad too. I can feel that. I would say Felicia in the Denver metro area is a bit more diverse. Aurora, I would say, is more diverse. But as you get to some of the more rural parts of Colorado, that definitely is true. And then even with like the people here, the diverse crowds, they're not necessarily in a concentrated set. You know how like you can go to some cities and over there is where this group is, over there is where that group is. It's not like that here. Everybody is spread out and sparse. So you kind of have to find your people through other creative avenues. But it can be very isolating feeling for sure. If you're looking for people like you when you come to a new state. I definitely can relate to that, Felicia. Kim J says, my kids, like, we grown, but we ain't that grown. They like, never mind, take me back. Right? They don't be wanting in real life. Hey, Vanessa, how are you? Thank you so much for joining. You was in the bushes, girl. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you being here. I really, truly do. And as a person who for years was in the bushes on YouTube, Girl, I understand. It's okay. Sometimes it be that way. Sometimes you just want to tune in. I feel that. Shawnee says, girl, my 26-year-old stays still. So I'm not alone. I'm like, boy, I'll be okay. I can downsize. Right. Listen, Shawnee, I'm so glad you said that about downsize. I had gotten so, this is before I got on the testosterone because y'all know I'm on hormone replacement therapy. So last year, I was so frustrated. I was like, let me just think if we can have a creative way to for me and him. So I said, well, since the kid's here, why don't, because the kids do have, now in my household, and I know some parents going to disagree with this, my kids have to pay rent. Okay. You need to contribute to the household in a meaningful way. And for us, let's shoulder this load together. But anyway, I was talking to some prayer. I was like, babe, why don't me and you go get an apartment downtown? Let's go get an apartment downtown Denver. I can be close to work. And let's do the whole urbanite thing. And let the kids, even though we live in Denver proper, let the kids have a house and pay us the rent. So therefore the mortgage getting paid. And then me and Marlon go rent us a nice little luxury place. Marlon wasn't feeling it. And I went so far as I took a tour of one of these places. And let me tell them myself. I thought it was going to be like luxurious and glamorous. And while the building itself was that I toured, um, I was like, I ain't going to be able to do this. After you've been living for so long in single family homes and have yards and stuff like that, it's really hard to go and live in an apartment. Okay, let's get to these. Sweatpants and champagne, you here too, girl? Hey, how you doing? I like your videos, by the way. I love how concise they are. And I've always been curious about your videos, sweatpants and champagne. Do you speed up the talking, or do you actually really talk that fast in real life? And I don't mean that negatively. I'm just curious because you'll do like this is going to be your 10-minute. I think you're on Manjaro for the week or something like that. And no words for being late. No words for being late at all. I don't be tripping on stuff like that. I'm looking over here to the side because I have family up here too, and they might text me when they get back from their little excursion. I cannot with you, Kim J. Kim J. I owe you and I owe Low Carb Queen a call. I do. I know that. Don't think I forgot. I haven't. Work just been getting on my backstab a little bit. Hey Michelle, so good to see you. And you at a Friendsgiving, I think Miss Tor was saying you had a Friendsgiving and you went and got some outfits today, is what I heard. I'm so glad to see you though. Thank you for joining. Kim J says some people just go. Oh my God. So really, y'all just going ham like that, even when the kids in the house. I don't know if I have it in me. I don't know if I have it in me. I don't know if I. And imagine like my grandson is here for a week visiting for the week of Thanksgiving. Nana, what's going on? I don't know if I could take the embarrassment. I really truly don't know. Thank you, Kim J, for co-signing on the kids paying rent, honey. I appreciate you. Okay, people just saying hello to each other there. Okay, Shawnee, what you tell them? I told my older two men, my youngest can get them. Okay. I see. Thank you for your understanding, Kim J. I really appreciate you. Well, while this live started off with a weightier topic, um, I will say this. I'm so thankful for each of you. You all know this community shows up and shows out for each other in a way that I've not seen witnessed on the other platforms. So I really do appreciate it. Um, I'm lighthearted, but I also, like I said, like to have the meaningful conversations that run a little bit deeper than just, the surface level stuff. So I don't know what my topic is going to be next. I don't. I just kind of with these lives, I've been kind of just really just staying tuned in to what I feel like God would have me say, to be honest with you. And then however I hear it is how I try to deliver it. Um, and that, you know, it brings hope. That really truly is like a major part of my platform before, like, the GLP-1 journey stuff. That's how I got started consistently on YouTube some years back. was really talking about stuff, that really truly matters. Um, Lewis says, sorry, Evelyn, thought I said this over. Our celebration, okay, was from Friday to a Monday. First night, Moroccan night, desert, under the stars. Second night, Caribbean carnival, travel. Lewis, that sounds like creatively, that sounds like a lot of work. I'm just honestly, like it does. Like, was it a lot of like the decor and stuff like it, or what, did you do it together? Was it just you that kind of did it, like for, you know what I'm saying, bringing the country to you thing? But I am impressed, honey. I am impressed. Then y'all did Santorini. Really, blue and white dinner heaven. Oh, wow. Oh, you had a planner. I want to know more. I really truly want to know more, L. Lewis. Hmm. I'm interested, but I know it's just the chat, so I don't know if you feel comfortable emailing me like maybe more details. I'm happy to even, and I you seem to be very private, so I don't know. So please don't. If this is encroaching, I don't take it offensively if you decline. But if you wanted to send me an email like with your phone number, or I can give you my phone number, whichever you prefer. Maybe we can chat a little bit more about some of the ideas and what you did so I can kind of get a better context. Or you could just write it in the email too, because the chat, I know it. Oh, okay, I see you said you will. Thank you so much. Like, I really appreciate it. Because that's one of the things me and Marlon was talking about is like, and on Low Carb Queens channel, we talked about this too, is that when you marry your friend like that, you become such great friends, even as you age, that sometimes you do lose the romance piece. You don't invest as much in it. And my desire is for us not to lose that piece of us, not to lose the date nights, whether they're in the house or out of the house or doing, creative things like how you were saying, L. Lewis, in the chat. My desire is to always have a very vibrant relationship with, the man who I love very deeply. And I think we can't lose sight of that, the longer we're married to one another, it's just keeping that spice, you know, in the relationship. I just think it's very important. All right, y'all. It's 7:47 here, which means it's 9:47 on the East Coast. So I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to log off. Again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the engagement. I appreciate each of you. I truly, truly do. Pray for you often. And oh my God, something is different in your connection with people when people start popping up in your dreams. I woke up one night and I'm like, why is Miss Linda in my dream of Miss Linda's journey? And it was something about a protein shake. And I'm like, why am I dreaming about what is going on? But it's just because we have really truly become so close knit. It's amazing. And I don't take it lightly. I really truly don't. So I just want to say thank you again. I'm going to close out by saying, remember, the future you is waiting on you. Until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. If I don't see you all in the YouTube streets, I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And I'll see you all again really soon. Have a great night, everyone.